I've done a few of these types of videos over the last couple of months, from every Arsenal striker since Thierry Henry to every Manchester United captain since Roy Keane. In the past, I've done the videos as Where Are They Now videos, ordering the players chronologically and just stating what they're up to in 2020. A few people suggested that I should do them as ranking videos from worst to best, which I think is a pretty good idea. The caveat to that fact, however, is that it's very difficult to rank players who only made a handful of appearances for the club. Therefore, any Liverpool striker since Fernando Torres who has played fewer than 10 Premier League games won't feature in my list, but I will list them for you now. They are Danny Pacheco, Nathan Eccleston, Jerome Sinclair and Ben Woodburn. To reiterate that point, I am ranking the players based on their time at Anfield and their time at Anfield alone. Fernando Torres only actually spent 3.5 years at Liverpool, but they were a memorable 3.5 years. During that time, Torres scored 81 goals in 142 games, departing for Chelsea for a then British record transfer fee of £50 million. Torres left Liverpool in January 2011, so I'm going to be ranking every striker to have played more than 10 Premier League games for the Reds since then, of which, by my calculations, there are 15 in total. To make things a little bit more interesting at the top, I will include Torres as well, so there'll be 16 players featured in total. For the benefit of those who preferred the old format, I will try to tell you where they are now as well. Here are my views on every Liverpool striker since Fernando Torres, ranked based upon their time at Anfield. Iago Aspas. We start with the man who makes it abundantly clear that this video is ranking players based solely on their time at Liverpool, since Iago Aspas has been superb since returning to Spain. Liverpool signed Aspas for around £8 million in the summer of 2013, following the forward's debut campaign in La Liga with Celta Vigo. Aspas is a clever, skillful and fairly diminutive forward who can play in a variety of different positions, but his style just didn't quite click with the speed of Liverpool's attacks. He made 14 Premier League appearances under Brendan Rodgers in his only season at Anfield, as Liverpool just missed out on the Premier League title, before returning to Spain. The 32-year-old, who certainly isn't the worst player in this video, has scored 97 goals in 182 games since returning to Celta Vigo in 2015, in addition to scoring 6 goals from 18 games for Spain. DOMINIC Solanke. It is no exaggeration to say that DOMINIC Solanke had one of the most illustrious and fantastic youth careers of any youth player in the history of the English game, and Liverpool thought they had pulled off a real coup when they signed him from Chelsea for just his £3 million tribunal fee in 2017. They had, in the sense that they would turn a hefty profit on the England international, but he never became a star man at Anfield. In his only season playing under Jurgen Klopp, Solanke scored only once in 27 appearances. Bournemouth was still willing to fork out £19 million to bring Solanke to the South Coast, but that now looks like a dubious decision, with the 22-year-old yet to score in 24 Premier League appearances for the Cherries. Mario Balotelli. I was very tempted to put Mario Balotelli last in this video due to the actual damage he did to Liverpool for a season, but that isn't the criteria and would not be fair. When you sign Mario Balotelli, you know it's only likely to go one of two ways: a roaring success or an unmitigated disaster. Liverpool lost Raheem Sterling and Luis Suarez in the summer of 2014, brought in Mario Balotelli for £16 million from AC Milan, and then still tried to play the same brand of dynamic, fast attacking football. Balotelli clocked up about as many miles during his season at Anfield as I have during lockdown. He was ineffective and at times looked downright uninterested. Balotelli scored only once from 16 Premier League appearances at Anfield, and it's only really his 3 cup goals that save him from bottom spot. The 29-year-old made a homecoming last summer in a move to Serie A New Boys Brescia, where he has since scored 5 goals in 19 league games. Fabio Borini. It may look stupid now, but the signing of Fabio Borini was one that made sense to Brendan Rodgers back in 2012. Rodgers had worked with Borini at Chelsea and Swansea City, the Italian had impressed during consecutive loan moves, and he was a hunger-eager young player who fit into Rodgers' plans. The only real problem is that Borini wasn't good enough, which is quite a significant problem in all fairness. During his 2 seasons at Anfield, Borini scored 3 goals in 38 games, departing for Sunderland before getting another crack at a traditional big club with AC Milan. The 29-year-old only left the San Siro in 2020, and he now turns out for Verona. Ricky Lambert. Large parts of this video were a process of deciding who was the least bad rather than who was the best in terms of Liverpool strikers, and it somewhat serves as a reminder of how far the club have come under Jurgen Klopp. Again, there was some logic to Ricky Lambert's arrival, inasmuch as he had been brilliant for Southampton and he was a boyhood Liverpool fan. Ultimately, it was a terrible move for both player and club, as Lambert scored just 3 goals in 36 games and would never really recover. He subsequently struggled at West Brom before an injury at Cardiff forced him into an early retirement. He was still better in that 2014-15 season than Mario Balotelli though. David Ngog. You know it's bleak when there are 5 players below David Ngog, and in fairness, whilst all those who preceded him only spent a season or 2 at Anfield, Ngog stuck around for 3. Signed from PSG, Rafa Benitez lauded his scouts for spotting Ngog, who was available for a low fee. That low fee might have been because PSG knew that he wasn't all that good, and Ngog would score just 9 Premier League goals in 3 seasons on Merseyside, albeit he did bag 19 in 94 appearances in all competitions. Stints at Bolton, Swansea, Reims, Panionios, Ross County and Budapest Honvéd followed, and the 31-year-old Frenchman now plays in Lithuania for FK Žalgiris. Andy Carroll. It's hard to believe, but Andy Carroll remains the most expensive centre-forward that Liverpool have ever signed, although the £35 million the Reds paid for him has been eclipsed by players in other positions. I'm not sure what Liverpool expected when they signed Andy Carroll, but they got exactly what he had been at Newcastle. Big, not the most mobile, sensational in the air, but far from sensational with the ball at his feet. Perhaps Kenny Dalglish would have expected slightly more goals than the 11 in 58 that the Reds got out of Carroll, but then again, they never really played to his strengths. Despite being one of the most overpaid signings in the history of the Premier League, West Ham arguably got stitched up with Carroll even more than Liverpool, and the 31-year-old returned to his boyhood club Newcastle in 2019. Danny Ings. Although we're into the top 10, we're still not talking about strikers who made much of an impression at Liverpool. Danny Ings certainly could have done, I believe, were it not for an ACL injury in October 2015. Ings is a gifted, sharp-eyed, but above all hard-working frontman who had scored 3 goals in his first 9 appearances when that injury struck. It as good as ended his time at the club, and he scored just once in his next 14 appearances, primarily off the bench. Ings joined Southampton last summer for a potential £20 million, where he has scored 18 goals this season. Craig Bellamy. You could be forgiven for forgetting Craig Bellamy's second stint at Anfield, but I couldn't since I'm making a video about Liverpool strikers after Fernando Torres, and this is literally my job. Bellamy had 2 spells on Merseyside, jumping at the chance to join the European giants on both occasions. During his second spell, which spanned only a single season, Bellamy was in constant pain and struggling to cope with reoccurring injuries. He still managed 9 goals in 33 games and put in some really important performances, which is enough to put him in 8th. Bellamy retired in 2014 and he now manages Anderlecht's under-21 team. Christian Benteke. Into the top 7, we're still actually talking about a man that most people would describe as a Liverpool flop. The Reds' second most expensive centre-forward behind Andy Carroll, Benteke set Liverpool back £32.5 million upon his arrival from Aston Villa. Benteke was like a better version of Balotelli in as much as he did manage to score a few goals, but he still didn't really fit in with the way in which the club wanted to play. Benteke scored 10 goals in 42 games during his sole season at Anfield, including a stunning but often forgotten overhead kick against Manchester United, forgotten primarily because Liverpool still lost that game. The big Belgian departed for Crystal Palace for roughly the same amount as Liverpool had paid for him, but he has been completely out of sorts for the last 2.5 years. Divock Origi. Sticking with Belgians in 6th place, Liverpool fans feel a close affinity for Divock Origi, who at one time looked to be finished at Anfield. Having failed to really impress on loan at Wolfsburg in the 2017-18 season, scoring only 6 goals, Origi's Liverpool future looked precarious at best. The following season, however, he played a key role in rotation with Roberto Firmino, scoring 7 goals in just 21 games, including last-minute winners against both Everton and Newcastle, a key brace against Barcelona in the Champions League semi-final, and even the second goal of the Champions League final itself against Tottenham. That's enough to put him in 6th place alone, and Origi has featured much more regularly this season, albeit having scored fewer goals. Daniel Sturridge. Another man who is very popular on Merseyside, Daniel Sturridge could have been a real Liverpool legend. Having faced criticism at both Man City and Chelsea, Sturridge finally looked at home upon his arrival at Anfield. He scored 11 goals in 16 games during his first half season before starring alongside Luis Suarez and Raheem Sterling, scoring 24 goals in just 33 games the following season, as the Reds came oh so close to securing a Premier League title. That title would never arrive, and nor would true greatness for Sturridge, who has faced a myriad of injury struggles ever since. He left Liverpool in 2019, but received a short global ban from football, which cut his time in Turkey short, and he's now being linked with a move to the MLS. Dirk Kuyt. Now, Benteke actually joined Liverpool before Fernando Torres, but this is every striker to have registered 10 plus Premier League appearances following Torres' departure, and quite fits the bill. During 6 seasons at Anfield, Coit wasn't always the most prolific, but he certainly never gave anything short of 100%. Versatile, hard-working, and capable of chipping in when his team needed him most, Liverpool fans really took to the Dutchman. He scored 71 goals in 286 games for Liverpool in total, including a famous hat-trick against Manchester United, before leaving Liverpool in 2012. Coit retired in 2017, barring a very brief return in 2018, and he recently resigned from coaching at Feyenoord. Roberto Firmino. Liverpool's current number 9, the placement of Roberto Firmino in this video is perhaps the most debatable of all, since he is a striker, almost unlike any other that I've mentioned. There are many Liverpool fans who say there isn't a single centre-forward they would rather have than Roberto Firmino. Meanwhile, there are opposition fans who'll claim Firmino is bang average by virtue of the fact that he's never bagged 20 plus league goals. Personally, whenever I'm confronted with such people, I get the impression that they don't believe what they're saying themselves. Firmino is undoubtedly a class act who combines a work rate and genuine creativity to give this Liverpool team the tempo and intensity that makes it so effective. He has scored 77 goals in 235 games for Liverpool to date, and whilst others will disagree, I think third place is bang on for the Brazilian. Fernando Torres. The man behind this video, for me, Fernando Torres has to come second. Roberto Firmino may have tasted more success at Anfield, but never has he been close to being the best centre-forward on earth, in my opinion at least. There was a time when Fernando Torres was a genuine candidate for that title, starting like a bat out of hell upon his arrival on Merseyside. At his best, Torres was lightning quick, always on high alert, and supremely confident in his own ability. It was a confidence which saw him score all kinds of audacious goals from a myriad of different angles, but it was also a confidence which he lost at Chelsea and could never quite rediscover. During his time at Anfield, as mentioned in the introduction, Torres scored 81 goals in 142 games, and he takes second place for me without a shadow of a doubt. Luis Suarez. I should think that even in the weird world of YouTube and of football, as many as 70 to 80% of you will still agree with me that Luis Suarez is Liverpool's best striker since Fernando Torres, even when one accounts for the Spaniard himself. Suarez's last season at Anfield, it could be argued, was the best single season by any centre-forward during the Premier League era. The Uruguayan struck 31 times in 33 games in the league that season, and it felt as though he scored even more. Liverpool went into every game knowing they had the best player outside of Messi and Ronaldo in the world that season, and Suarez knew it too. His inevitable departure came at a hefty price to Barcelona, but he would prove to be worth every penny. The chompy marksman has been even more prolific in Catalonia, scoring 191 goals in 270 games, and as good as Torres and indeed Roberto Firmino have been for Liverpool, I don't think I could put anyone else in top spot. That is all for today's video, but do let me know which other types of videos like this you'd like to see from me in the comments, and I assure you that I will consider those that receive the most likes and prove to be the most popular. Do also leave your views on the video itself in the comments, as I've seen a few people who feel as though there are only video suggestions and little discussion or debate in the comments on the channel in recent times, which would be a shame. There's certainly room for both, so thank you all for watching, hit that like button if you found this video even remotely enjoyable, and feel free to subscribe to the finest YouTube channel on earth, according to my mum, and that is HITC Sevens.